As a rotund American, and I am a big guy, it's fine, you can admit it, I hear it all the time. One of my biggest fears, I'm not even kidding you, is getting so large that I become bedridden and unable to move or do anything besides, eat, sleep, and shit. That's really about how it gets in some of these cases. And it always bothers me when I turn on, TLC and you see an ad for my big, fat, fabulous life. Like, no, stop that. Stop that. Fat acceptance is not something you should be pushing for. Health. Health. Health is what you should be pushing for. So when I see a story like this, it's horrible, it's tragic, and it does make you kind of judge it right off the bat. It really makes you kind of just go, oh, I already know where this is going, sort of thing. But at the same time, I do have empathy for the people involved in this one, because it can't be easy. Now, a father and son in Georgia were arrested after their bedridden mother was found barely alive in her bed, decomposing with maggots and cockroaches crawling on her. Now, like I said, I have a little bit of empathy here, but still, the situations of which they were holding this person, they're just nasty. They're gross. They're terrible, right? Like, I mean, you clean up that shit, man. Cockroaches will go away if they have nothing to look after. That's how you get rid of them. Now, in Sugar Hill, Georgia, a woman was found alive in her bed, her legs decomposing and covered in maggots. Now, the caretakers, her husband, Terry Sorrell, and son, Christian Sorrell, are facing felony charges of neglect of disabled or elderly person. Yeah, you can kind of figure that with the fact that, her legs are decomposing and covered in maggots. Clearly something is rotten in Denmark. Gwinnett County Fire and Emergency. Service workers discovered the woman whose name has not been released when they were dispatched Thursday to the home in the city of about 22,000 residents, 35 miles northeast of Atlanta. When they arrived, they found an obese woman unconscious and near death, according to the incident report. Her present condition has not been released. About a month ago, the same crew had been to the house for home transport from the local hospital. Because of her weight, they used a mega mover, a lightweight stretcher used for moving larger patients. So what this tells me, just because they're not giving her current condition or how much she weighed, that this woman, to use medical terminology, was a biggin. I would say that's probably about accurate there. And, she needs this type of large stretcher to get around. I mean, you see these things on documentaries and TV and stuff. And it's just sad because it's like you ask, how did a person get to that point? You kind of go judgy. And as a fat person, we judge the hardest. But also it's something you don't ever want to see, So that question of why and how always comes to mind. But there's also the question of what's it like to live with that person? What's it like to be in that situation? What's it like to be a caretaker for them? And what happens if you can't really do it to the best of your ability? Or you just can't really do it at all? And that's kind of what this story effectively comes around. Now, the patient was still, the EMTs left a patient transport unit, a tarp-like plastic sheet, reinforced with nylon web straps at the home in February, according to the report. When they arrived Thursday, the stretcher, which is normally white, was covered in feces, and it was discolored brown and black. So we're talking a month here that this woman had been effectively strapped to this chair. And it was covered in shit. And it was discolored black and brown. So either the people who were looking after her ran into some serious problems, or they just stopped caring. Now, the patient was still on top of the mega mover they used a month ago, the incident report read. The woman's legs showed signs of decomposition, including a black color that is an indicator of dead tissue. She was covered in maggots and cockroaches that were eating her flesh, according to the report. That is a horrible life right there. That is a horrible existence. I mean, I can be critical of a person's size, but I don't want them to live in that kind of condition. So I have to ask the question, what would bring them to this? Like, what would get it to that point? How bad could things possibly be to where a sponge on a stick is simply just not an option anymore? Right? That's I think a valid question. Her rescuers did not believe she would live much longer and felt a moral obligation to report this. Well, yeah, obviously there'd be a moral obligation to report it. I mean, they're going to walk and go, ooh, You want to go to Hooters? It's no, don't worry about this. But we go get like 28 hot wings and just, we are never here. What kind of, like, I mean, I understand the concept there. We felt there was, we had a moral obligation to say something. You're EMT, right? You're EMT. You've got a moral obligation to do a lot in this particular case. Calling 911 is clearly one of the priorities, but at the same time, pour some hydrogen peroxide on that damn shit. Now, son Christian Sorrell told the police, who began an investigation, that he and his father were his mother's sole caretaker. She had been bedridden for nearly 2 years, and it had been getting worse. And I'm wondering if that's ultimately it. It was just that breaking point. People have the breaking point, right? You can't always fault them for succumbing to those kind of, I guess you could say, ills, right? Those mental breakdowns. And it could just be too much. And if it's becoming worse, then it's just, people sometimes get to the point of saying, why bother? Now, this is not a case where you should have done that, period. And again, I'm not trying to explain away anything that they did or to justify anything that they did. I'm saying that from an empathetic standpoint, I can see it from that perspective. I could entirely be wrong, and they could be the scummiest people on the damn planet. But that's what I'm wondering here. Now, it says that garbage surrounded the bed where she was lying, and trash was strewn elsewhere in the apartment. Every room in the house was crawling with cockroaches, meaning these guys didn't care. Now, look, every apartment I've lived in has had cockroaches. Every single apartment I've lived in has had cockroaches. All of my friends' apartments have had cockroaches. If it's an apartment building, they be everywhere. All right? Like, all it's going to take is one neighbor leaving they shit out. Cockroaches come, and then they spread like an infectious plague. And they decompose the building like those maggots were working on that woman's legs. It's bad stuff, but it's not nothing like a little bit of Raid can't kill, or, a professional. But still, trash was everywhere in the apartment. Every room was crawling with cockroaches. This is their den. This is if you were playing a game of Fallout, you're going into a rad roach nest. This is where you're going, right? Now, the husband's room had a 2-foot pile of energy drinks. I drink those, but yeah, you could tell people just stopped caring. A 2-foot high pile of energy drinks? Jesus, dude. Now, this is the thing. It says no one in the family had jobs and finances were tight. But my empathy is starting to wane a little bit here, just to be on the fair side, or on the clear side. So they didn't have jobs. Finances were tight. They didn't look after her. Didn't even douse her with warm water and a sponge to make sure she was okay. Didn't bring in the car jack and tip her up on her side in order to, power wash out the undercarriage. None of that. But they had enough money to purchase energy drinks. But at the same time, energy drinks are addictive. And people will justify an addiction. That's just the case. Both men continue to be incarcerated in Gwinnett County Jail in Lawrenceville, Georgia, under a $22,000 bond. And these are what both men look like. Yeah, looks like they're from Georgia. The thing is, you've got this situation where this woman was subjected to something that was absolutely inhumane. And as a result, the decomposing tissue, if they're not able to skin graft it or whatever, I don't know if you can. I'm just kind of guessing you can. She's going to lose the legs. Now, there's going to clearly be jokes in the comments of, that's one way to lose weight. But at the same time, her dignity is gone. Her dignity is completely gone. Her name is being withheld, but anyone on there could probably find those two men, do a quick Google search, and determine who their mama is, and then know who she is. And the thing is, dignity sometimes is all we have. And if you give up, which is what it feels like here more than anything, it's just that people gave up. If she's been bedridden for 2 years and wasn't showing no signs getting better, and even had to have the EMTs come in with a mega mover in order to get her from point A to point B, maybe everyone just hit their breaking point in the worst possible way. And so they just left her to rot. It's tragic. It is. Now, my question, to kind of wrap this whole thing up, is going to be whether or not the fat acceptance movement rallies around this woman and pushes her up like a hero who's been victimized. And I have a feeling they might. And I hope they don't. Because this is not a woman who needs to be heralded as a hero for the plus size movement. This is a woman who needs to effectively get her dignity back. And that's going to come with acknowledging the situation that she's in and doing everything in her power to get out of it. And if there's one shining nugget, one little ray of sunshine in all of this darkness, it's going to be the wake-up call that's going to come from the aftermath of it. And I do only wish her the best. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you haven't already, thumbs it up, hit on that subscribe, check out 3 Buck Theater, check out Mundane Chats, or if you just want to help support the channel, the best way to do that is patreon.com/mundanematt, link below in the video description. Thank you guys again. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.